Nowadays, it's accepted wisdom that Sarah Jessica Parker, who portrays Carrie Bradshaw, is a mediocre actor. She isn't the most well-known or even the most popular actress on Sex and the City, to be honest, for a variety of reasons, including her reputation as a bad friend and her tone-deaf opinions on a variety of sensitive topics, but one of her most defining traits is that she never showed her pants when she was making judgments. And just like that, What If was supposed to carry on the coarse humor of its predecessor while also benefiting from being written from a more knowledgeable, adult viewpoint. Persona, especially in light of her line of work, explores the characters in contemporary society and outlines many of the historical errors of the program, such as lack of representation. Despite unquestionably having its moments, sex is now a far more open and unrestrained topic. Carrie's conservatism also appears to have been addressed in some fashion. Bradshaw, although Carrie has a history of criticizing people harshly, in the first season of the show, her opinions were perceived as more progressive. But since then, she's taken a 50-step reverse turn, which is absurd. Even though she undoubtedly has problems, Carrie has never been prudish, so it's unclear why this has changed since Mr. Big's passing. But she ought to be a little more reserved and restrained. In the 1990s and the early 2000s, when sex was a much more forbidden topic, she discussed topics in her column that were extremely graphic. Today, however, she refuses to use the word vagina in a podcast called Sex in the City. Sexuality and sex-related topics are discussed considerably more frequently now. However, people who listen to her podcast S1 can hear unvarnished, honest dialogue from someone of her caliber and repute today. She avoids some topics in ordinary discussion. Despite the fact that the show probably broke new ground when it first aired in 1998, Carrie was definitely too traditional, and shame why for someone with a sex column. Because there are so many single women in New York, she never ran out of topics to write about, but occasionally she was disrespectful of her friends, especially Samantha. The most offensive and out-of-control attitude came from Samantha, who was also rather sexually graphic. Carrie ridiculed and scolded her, saying that she would never act in such a way after 5 seasons because it was an episode-long narrative. Carrie often reprimanded Samantha for her behavior, such as when she came and overheard Samantha yelling at the mailman, despite the fact that she blamed the city for the sex. Samantha asked, exactly what everyone else was thinking, what does it matter if Samantha was having an intimate relationship with her mailman? Was it really that important, like Carrie said? He gave Carrie one more look before leaving, saying, I cannot believe that you judge me after everything we have been through. I won't allow your society to judge me as long as I have the freedom to breathe, kneel, wear whatever I want, and blow whomever I want. Given Carrie's relationship with Mr. Big and the fact that she had only recently started dating Aiden, this conversation seemed especially unsettling. Samantha was certainly shocked when Carrie told her what had happened, but she didn't condemn or point the finger at Carrie, which was a much worse offense than a lunchtime fling with a gorgeous mailman. The difference was that Charlotte, in contrast to Carrie with her column, never pretended to be open-minded and experimental. Rather, she simply had different values than her pals. She wasn't always correct or kind, but at least she wasn't lying about how she really felt like Carrie frequently did. In light of her new position in the season, even Charlotte, who has long been seen as the designated prude, appears to advance more than Carrie does. Sarah Jessica Parker attributed Carrie Bradshaw's resistance to being new to the show's focus on sex and nudity. However, Sarah Jessica Parker discussed this choice and how her character uses foul language in a recent interview with Howard Stern. Performers should always feel like they're on set, especially during such intimate situations. Carrie was the only significant character who had never been naked, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. When Parker was asked about her interview with Darren Star, the creator of the show, she recalled, "My only concern, which I confided in him, was that I didn't feel comfortable performing in nudity, and if it wasn't in the pilot it would probably be a part of a series. Parker stated that she thought the writing was incredibly alluring, thrilling, novel, and new, and that she had never seen anything like it. Starr, according to Parker, merely said, "Don't do it," and other artists are not required to agree. Parker argued that Carrie did not necessarily had to respond to Stern's inquiry as to why she was employing the language Carrie did in such a loose and liberal manner simply because they were on HBO. If we want to use language, let's be very careful when Carrie Bradshaw does, because she is a writer and very deliberate about what she says, how she says it, where she says it, and to whom she is saying it. As Parker highlighted, Carrie's use of stronger language at the time had a bigger effect, which may have contributed to her worst outbursts. Parker shouldn't be blamed for the character's flaws, but it appears that these limitations have been slightly altered. Carrie, with the exception of Carrie, who is still a beloved character we want to see some development in, we are seeing a new side to every character, while Miranda discovers a new aspect of her sexuality and orientation in Charlotte while being schooled by her children. The authors and creators are still mostly responsible for the portrayal because they seem to have highlighted behavior appropriateness in the remake. Carrie, however, seems to be stuck in the past, which is a sad tragedy since it makes it impossible for the city's sex to take place if our main heroine is so averse to discussing her sexuality and intimacy in a real-world setting. If you found the video interesting, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for future videos. In any case, the show needs to lose the stuffy image Carrie has cultivated over the years. Samantha's look as Kim Cattrall could help with her studies.